My friends, I want to start today with a simple question. Are you always on his mind? But let me tell you something. Before you even think about being on somebody's mind, you've got to first ask yourself, am I on my own mind? Am I taking care of me? You see, the most important relationship you'll ever have is the one you have with yourself. Too often we focus on being on someone else's mind, trying to be their priority. But you can't expect to be someone else's priority if you're not your own. That's step one. Respect yourself. Know your worth. Because if you don't know your value, nobody else will either. Now, let's talk about respect. In any relationship, whether it's love, friendship, or family, there's one thing that has to be non-negotiable: respect. You can't expect someone to keep you in their thoughts if they don't respect you. If they don't see the value in you, it's time to take a step back and ask, what do I bring to this table? Now, let me tell you something. Being on someone's mind isn't about constantly being there. It's about being emotionally present. When you show up, when you're really there, not just in body, but in heart, you'll find that it's those moments, those real moments of connection that keep you in their thoughts. That's the kind of presence that leaves a lasting impact. And if we're talking about relationships, we cannot, and I mean cannot, forget about communication. You can't read somebody's mind, but you sure can listen to their words. And when you listen, you understand. Communication is the bridge between two hearts. Without it, there's no real connection. So talk. And more importantly, listen. When you do that, you'll be on their mind, because you're not just present physically, but you're also present emotionally. Now, let me talk about balance. Relationships are not about being glued to each other's side 24/7. There's strength in independence. You've got to maintain your own sense of self. When you're constantly hovering over someone's thoughts, it can become a burden and they'll start to pull away. But when you give each other space to grow, to be your individual selves, you'll find that being on someone's mind happens naturally. Again, when love and marriage are high stakes, pull a light. And black and white never feel like black and white. And let me tell you, your actions will always speak louder than your words. It's not about how often you say the right thing. It's about how often you show up, how often you support, how often you put the work in. People remember what you do, not just what you say. Be the kind of person who shows they care, and you'll be on someone's mind, not because you forced it, but because you earned it. We live in a world that often tells us our value comes from external sources: the opinions of others, social media validation, professional success, or romantic relationships. And while those things can feel important, the truth is, if we don't start with ourselves, we're building on unstable ground. You sit home, you request 10 days off as one person short of saying, yes, our life can change in 2 minutes if we want it. The foundation of any successful relationship, career, or personal growth starts with one thing: self-worth. Let me break it down. Self-worth isn't about how you look, how much money you make, or how many friends you have. It's about how you perceive yourself and the value you place on your own being. The most important relationship you'll ever have is the one with yourself. Without that solid sense of self, without knowing your own value, you will always be seeking validation from outside sources. And let me tell you something. External validation can be fleeting. It's based on the opinions of others, and those opinions are constantly shifting. When you are grounded in your own worth, your sense of identity doesn't depend on whether someone gives you a compliment or even acknowledges your existence. You don't need the approval of others to feel good about who you are. You wake up in the morning already knowing, without a shadow of a doubt, that you matter, that your presence on this earth has purpose. Let me say this again. Self-worth is not the same as arrogance. Self-worth is grounded in authenticity. It's not about bragging or inflating your accomplishments. It's about accepting who you are, flaws and all, and recognizing the unique value you bring to the world. Everyone has a gift, a strength that makes them who they are. When you are secure in your worth, you stop measuring yourself against other people. You start to value your own progress, your own path. But here's the thing, we're often taught to look outward for our sense of value. From a young age, we're socialized to seek approval, whether it's from our parents, our teachers, or our peers. We're conditioned to believe that if others don't think highly of us, we somehow don't measure up. But that belief, my friends, is a trap. It's a trap that leaves you chasing external validation instead of looking within. Now, imagine how different your life would be if you didn't need the world to tell you how valuable you are. Imagine if you woke up every single day knowing that you are worthy of success, worthy of love, worthy of respect. You would walk into any room with confidence, not because you think you're better than anyone else, but because you know you are enough just as you are. You'd be less worried about the opinions of others and more focused on your own goals, dreams, and self-improvement. So, self-worth is also about taking care of yourself mentally, physically, and emotionally. It's about setting boundaries and knowing when to say no because you understand that your time, your energy, and your peace are precious. People who don't value themselves often end up overcommitting to others, sacrificing their own well-being for the sake of pleasing or seeking approval. But you can't give from an empty cup. You must fill your own cup first, and that starts with recognizing your own worth. This doesn't mean you become selfish or detached from others. Far from it. When you truly value yourself, you understand the importance of giving love, kindness, and generosity, but you do it from a place of abundance, not from a place of need. When you know your worth, you no longer look for others to fill gaps in your life. You're whole, and you invite people into your life to add to it, not to complete it. The value of self-worth is also reflected in the choices you make. When you believe you deserve the best, you don't settle for less. Whether it's in your career, your relationships, or your personal aspirations, you don't let fear or doubt dictate your decisions. You make choices that align with the highest vision you have for yourself because you know you deserve it. You'll stop accepting toxic relationships, subpar opportunities, or situations that drain you. Instead, you'll surround yourself with people and situations that lift you up, inspire you, and challenge you to grow. So, let me ask you again, are you on your own mind? Are you valuing yourself? Because once you start to believe in your own worth, everything changes. Relationships, career opportunities, and your overall sense of happiness and fulfillment will shift. You will no longer search for others to tell you your worth because you already know it. Your self-worth is the most powerful thing you possess. Protect it, nurture it, and never let anyone or anything make you feel like you're anything less than extraordinary. Respect is the cornerstone of every meaningful and lasting relationship. Whether it's in friendships, family bonds, romantic connections, or even professional relationships, mutual respect forms the foundation that holds everything together. Millionaire's sole concept of mutual respect forms the foundation that holds everything together. Without respect, relationships crumble. With it, they thrive. But here's the catch. Respect is earned, not given freely or automatically. And for that respect to truly flourish, it must be a two-way. Let's start with the basics. What does respect really mean? At its core, respect is about acknowledging another person's worth. It's about recognizing their feelings, their perspectives, and their rights. It's not about agreeing with everything they say or do. but rather accepting their right to think and live differently. Respect means that you value the other person for who they are, not for what they can do for you or what role they play in your life, but for their intrinsic humanity. When respect is present in a relationship, it fosters trust, communication, and understanding. You don't need to agree with everything a person does or says, but you listen to them, you hear them out, and you show empathy. It means that you are there for them in their highs and lows, that you stand by them through thick and thin, not because you have to, but because you want to. But respect is not a one-way street. It's a two-way commitment. If you expect respect from others, you must first show it to them. You can't demand respect and give nothing in return. When you value yourself and have a strong sense of self-worth, you naturally treat others with respect and you expect nothing less in return. It's important to remember that respect is a reflection of how you see yourself. If you respect others, it's likely because you respect yourself. The way you treat people is often a mirror of how you allow yourself to be treated. Now, let's talk about what respect looks like in action. Respect isn't just about saying the right things, it's about doing the right things. It's in the small gestures, the way you listen, the way you communicate, the way you show empathy. It's not about making demands, but about honoring the space and needs of others. It means setting boundaries and being clear about your own needs, but also respecting others' boundaries in their personal space. Healthy boundaries are a key element of mutual respect. In romantic relationships, for example, respect means honoring each other's individuality. It's about recognizing that while you are partners in life, you are still two separate people with different desires, dreams, and needs. A healthy relationship doesn't seek to change the other person, but to support them in becoming the best version of themselves. It's about allowing space for personal growth and not imposing expectations that limit someone's potential. Respect in relationships also means treating each other with kindness, even when you disagree. Disagreements are natural. They happen in every relationship, but how you handle them is what matters. Respect means addressing issues in a constructive manner, not through insults, silence, or manipulation. It means recognizing that differences of opinion don't have to turn into personal attacks. You can disagree without devaluing the person you care about. When respect is mutual, communication becomes easier. There's a sense of safety between the two parties, and that safety fosters honest and open dialogue. When you feel respected, you're more likely to speak your truth, knowing that your thoughts and feelings will be heard and validated. On the other hand, when respect is lacking, communication becomes stilted and misunderstandings often arise. It's hard to communicate effectively with someone who doesn't value you or your perspective. But let me tell you something important. Respect does not mean tolerating disrespect. It's easy to say respect is earned, and yes, that's true. But it's also important to recognize when someone is not respecting you. You don't have to tolerate behavior that demeans or belittles you. If someone consistently disrespects you, it's time to take a step back and reevaluate that relationship. Respect must be mutual, and it's essential to create boundaries that protect your own well-being. In any meaningful relationship, whether it's with a friend, a partner, or even a colleague, there's one crucial element that determines whether that connection will thrive or fall apart: emotional investment. It's easy to go through the motions, to be physically present in someone's life, but emotional investment is what takes a relationship from surface level to deeply meaningful. What does emotional investment really mean? At its core, emotional investment is about giving a piece of yourself to someone else. It's about being vulnerable, sharing your feelings, and allowing someone to be a part of your inner world. It's not just about being there physically, but being there emotionally. It's about showing up for someone when they need you, not just when it's convenient. or when it benefits you. Emotional investment means putting your heart and energy into the relationship and expecting nothing less in return. Now, let's talk about why emotional investment is so important. Relationships are not one-sided, and for them to thrive, both parties need to contribute emotionally. You can't expect someone to care deeply for you if you're not willing to care deeply for them. It's a balance between offering support, love, and understanding, and allowing yourself to receive the same. Emotional investment involves listening when your loved one shares their thoughts and fears, standing by them when they're struggling, and celebrating their successes like they're your own. But emotional investment is also about being present, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. It means truly engaging in conversations and experiences, not just showing up and going through the motions. When you're emotionally invested, you don't just ask how someone's day was, you ask because you genuinely care about the answer. You don't just sit beside someone, you listen, you share, and you interact. When you're emotionally invested, every interaction holds weight. You understand that your words and actions have the power to shape the other person's day, mood, or even life. But let me tell you this, emotional investment requires vulnerability, and vulnerability for many people is a scary thing. It's about opening yourself up, letting your guard down, and risking hurt. It's about allowing someone to see the parts of you that are not perfect, the parts that are scared, insecure, or broken. But here's the thing. Without vulnerability, there is no emotional depth. Without it, relationships remain superficial. You can't expect someone to truly know you, to love you deeply, if you never let them see the real you. However, emotional investment isn't just about giving, it's also about receiving. In a healthy, balanced relationship, emotional investment goes both ways. When you invest emotionally in someone, you also need to allow them to invest in you. Relationships are a two-way street. It's about being open to receiving love, care, and attention just as much as you give it. When both people are equally invested, the relationship becomes a source of mutual support, growth, and fulfillment. It's a partnership, not a one-sided affair. Let me give you an example. Think about a time when you've been through a tough period in life, whether it's a personal loss, a career setback, or a challenge in your relationships. In those moments, it's not the surface level interactions that matter. It's the people who are willing to show up for you emotionally. It's the ones who listen without judgment, who offer their support without expecting anything in return. Those are the people who are emotionally invested in you. They understand that relationships aren't just about the good times. They're about being there through the hard times too. But it's not just about being there during the tough moments. Emotional investment also means celebrating the good times together. It's about cheering for each other's successes, sharing in each other's happiness, and lifting each other up. When you're emotionally invested in someone, you're just as thrilled for their achievements as you would be for your own. You're happy to see them grow, and you're eager to encourage their progress. Emotional investment requires effort, consistency, and a genuine desire to connect. It's about showing up in meaningful ways, not just when it's easy, but especially when it's hard. And yes, it can sometimes be difficult. It takes time, energy, and, at times, sacrifice. But the rewards are immeasurable. When you invest emotionally in a relationship, you build trust, you create lasting memories, and you forge a bond that can withstand life's inevitable challenges. So, ask yourself, are you emotionally invested in the relationships that matter most to you? Are you showing up not just physically, but mentally and emotionally? Are you giving of yourself without expecting immediate returns and allowing others to do the same? Emotional investment is the secret sauce that turns ordinary relationships into extraordinary ones. It's the thread that ties us together, that creates deep and lasting connections. And if you want to be on someone's mind, if you want to truly matter to someone, emotional investment is the key. In every relationship, one of the most vital skills we can develop is communication. It's the thread that holds connections together, the bridge between our thoughts, emotions, and actions. Without clear, open, and honest communication, even the strongest relationships will falter. Think about it. Communication is the heartbeat of understanding. Without it, misunderstandings, frustrations, and distance creep in. So what makes communication so powerful? At its core, communication is not just about talking. It's about sharing your thoughts and feelings in a way that can be understood and received by the other person. It's about expressing yourself, yes, but it's also about listening, really listening. It's about creating an environment where both people feel heard, seen, and valued. And this kind of communication doesn't just happen overnight. It requires effort, practice, and most importantly, a willingness to be vulnerable. We often think of communication in terms of words, the things we say to each other. But in reality, communication is much broader than that. Words are important, yes, but how you say those words matters just as much. Tone, body language, eye contact, all of these factors contribute to the message you're conveying. If your words are kind, but your body language is closed off or defensive, the message will get lost. If not, it'll be obsessed. If you say you're fine, but your face is filled with frustration, the true message lies in what isn't being said. And here's the thing. True communication is not about simply getting your point across. It's about creating a dialogue, a conversation where both sides are engaged, where both parties feel like their perspectives matter. It's not a monologue. It's a partnership in understanding. Effective communication involves listening as much as it involves speaking. When you truly listen, you're not just waiting for your turn to speak. You're tuning into the other person's words, emotions, and body language. You're trying to understand them, not just their words, but the feelings behind those words. One of the most powerful aspects of communication is empathy. Empathy is the ability to step into another person's shoes and see the world from their perspective. It's about understanding their emotions, their struggles, and their needs. When you communicate with empathy, you're not just hearing the words, you're connecting with the person behind them. Empathy allows you to offer more than just advice. It allows you to offer support, compassion, and understanding. When people feel understood, they feel valued, and that's when a relationship truly strengthens. In relationships, whether they're romantic, platonic, or professional, the ability to communicate openly and honestly can make or break the connection. When we fail to communicate, we create a space for assumptions, misunderstandings, and hurt feelings. It's easy to make assumptions about what someone else is thinking or feeling, but assumptions are often inaccurate. We can't read minds. We can't know the full scope of another person's experiences unless they share them with us. And even then, our understanding is shaped by the words they use, the way they express themselves, and how we choose to listen. That's why honesty and transparency are so crucial. Communication isn't about saying what's easy, it's about saying what's real. When something bothers you, speak up. When you feel hurt or misunderstood, share it. When something brings you joy, celebrate it. The more honest you are, the more you invite others to be honest with you. And honesty builds trust, the cornerstone of any relationship. But let's not forget, communication also involves timing. Sometimes the most important thing in a conversation is knowing when to speak and when to listen, knowing when to give space and when to come forward with your thoughts. Timing is crucial in making sure that what you say is heard and in ensuring that your message lands in the right way. Another key aspect of communication is conflict resolution. It's easy to communicate when everything is going smoothly, but what happens when things get tough? How do you communicate in the midst of disagreement? Healthy communication in times of conflict means addressing issues without attacking the person. It means focusing on the problem, not the individual. It means staying calm. Conflict doesn't have to tear people apart. It can actually bring them closer if both parties communicate with respect and empathy. Effective communication also fosters intimacy. When we communicate openly and without fear of judgment, we allow others to see us for who we truly are. We share our hopes, our dreams, our vulnerabilities, and our fears. This openness creates a deeper bond, a connection that transcends surface level interactions. When people feel they can be authentic and open with you, they're more likely to let you into their lives. And the deeper the communication, the deeper the relationship. One of the key pillars that support a strong and lasting relationship is accountability. It's often said that relationships require trust, respect, and communication, but accountability is the glue that holds those elements together. It's the commitment to stand by your actions, own up to your mistakes, and hold yourself and others responsible for maintaining the integrity of the relationship. Accountability is what keeps the bond strong, even when challenges arise, and it is what ensures both parties grow together rather than drift apart. But let's break this down. What does accountability actually mean in a relationship? At its essence, accountability means taking responsibility for your actions, words, and behaviors, especially when they affect others. It means acknowledging when you've done something wrong and making amends for it instead of making excuses or blaming others. In a healthy relationship, both parties hold themselves accountable for their role in the dynamic. No one is perfect, but when we hold ourselves accountable, we take the necessary steps to learn, grow, and ensure that our mistakes don't define the relationship. Now, let's talk about why accountability is so important. In any relationship, whether romantic, professional, or personal, things will inevitably go wrong at times. We'll make mistakes, hurt each other unintentionally, or misstep in our actions. It's not about being perfect. It's about how we respond to those mistakes. Accountability is crucial because it shows that you are willing to face the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. It shows maturity, integrity, and a deep respect for the other person. When you own your mistakes, you create an atmosphere of honesty and openness. This honesty paves the way for real growth within the relationship. But accountability isn't just about admitting when you're wrong. It's about consistently following through with your commitments. It's about being reliable, dependable, and trustworthy. In any relationship, whether it's with a partner, a friend, or a colleague, people need to know that they can count on you. When you make a promise, do you keep it? When you say you'll be there for someone, are you? Accountability means that you don't just talk the talk, you walk the walk. Your actions match your words, and that builds trust over time. One aspect of accountability that is often overlooked is the accountability we have for each other. In a healthy relationship, we don't just hold ourselves accountable, we hold each other accountable too. This doesn't mean criticizing or judging the other person harshly. It means supporting them when they fall short and gently reminding them of their responsibilities and commitments. True accountability in relationships means that we're invested in each other's growth and well-being. It's about helping each other stay true to the values you both share and encouraging each other to do better when needed. But let's talk about the flip side of accountability, the need for self-accountability. While it's essential to hold others accountable, it's just as important to be self-aware and take responsibility for our own actions. Too often, people point fingers at others when things go wrong, failing to acknowledge their own role in the situation. We all have a responsibility to be self-reflective and honest with ourselves. If you're not owning up to your own mistakes or shortcomings, you're not only harming yourself, but also the relationship. Self-accountability means recognizing when you've fallen short, taking the initiative to change, and being proactive about improving your behavior. When both parties in a relationship practice accountability, it creates a culture of mutual respect and trust. There's no need to second guess whether the other person is being honest or whether they will follow through on their promises. Accountability builds the kind of security that makes people feel safe in their relationships, knowing that they can trust each other to be honest, reliable, and committed to growth. But accountability is not just about responsibility for actions. It's also about emotional accountability. It's about recognizing how your behavior affects the other person emotionally, whether it's through your words, your actions, or your lack of attention. Sometimes we can hurt others without even realizing it, and it's in those moments that emotional accountability becomes crucial. When you take responsibility for how your actions affect someone's emotional well-being, it shows deep care and consideration. Apologizing when you've hurt someone, validating their feelings, and making a conscious effort to avoid repeating the mistake demonstrates emotional maturity and commitment to the relationship. Here's the thing, accountability is a continual process. It's not a one-time event or something you do when you get caught. It's about showing up consistently, taking responsibility for both the big and small things, and ensuring that your words and actions are aligned. It's about showing that you care enough about the relationship to put in the effort and to hold yourself to a high standard. Without accountability, relationships become fragile. With it, they become resilient, deep, and meaningful. So ask yourself, are you holding yourself accountable in your relationships? Are you taking responsibility for your actions, keeping your promises, and being honest with yourself and others? And just as importantly, are you holding the people you care about to the same standard of accountability? Because when both people in a relationship hold themselves accountable, the bond becomes unbreakable. Positive vibration sells the high-asses, desire, bodong. It creates trust, fosters growth, and strengthens the connection. In the end, accountability is the ultimate show of love and respect, and it's the key to creating lasting and fulfilling relationships. In a world where instant gratification is the norm, one quality that often gets overlooked but is absolutely essential in relationships is patience. Patience is not just about waiting, it's about understanding, enduring, and allowing things to unfold at their own pace. Patience, whether it's with a partner, a friend, a family member, or even yourself, patience is the quiet force that holds relationships together, especially when things are tough. What does patience truly mean in the context of relationships? At its core, patience is the ability to calmly endure difficult situations without becoming frustrated or upset. It's about giving someone the time and space they need to grow, change, or heal. It's about understanding that everyone has their own journey, their own struggles, and their own timeline, and accepting that it may not always align with your own. Second, patience is often tested during times of conflict or misunderstanding. We all experience moments when tempers flare, when we don't see eye to eye, or when emotions run high. In these moments, patience becomes your greatest ally. It's the ability to stay calm, to listen with an open heart, and to respond with empathy rather than reacting with anger or frustration. Patience allows you to take a step back, to breathe, and to approach the situation with a clear mind rather than letting emotions cloud your judgment. It's in these moments that patience can transform conflict into an opportunity for growth and deeper connection. In romantic relationships, patience is especially important. It's easy to want things to move quickly, to rush through the ups and downs, and to have everything resolved in an instant. But love isn't a race, it's a journey. It takes time to truly know someone, to build trust, and to understand each other's needs and desires. Patience allows you to navigate the twists and turns of a relationship without trying to force it into a specific mold. It gives you the space to grow together, to adapt to each other's changes, and to face challenges as a team. Similarly, patience plays a significant role in friendships. Friendships, just like romantic relationships, require time and effort to flourish. The best friendships are not built in a day. They are cultivated over time, through shared experiences, trust, and mutual respect. Patience allows you to accept your friends as they are, even when they make mistakes or disappoint you. It's understanding that no one is perfect and being willing to give them the grace they need to grow and learn from their own experiences. Patience also involves understanding that change is a slow process. People don't change overnight, and expecting someone to suddenly behave or react in a way that aligns with your expectations can lead to frustration and disappointment. Whether it's personal growth, a shift in behavior, or a difficult period in someone's life, patience allows you to be present with them without rushing their process. Speaking of shows with your kids, after seeing something on TV, it's about supporting them as they work through their challenges, even when it's hard to watch. In relationships, patience goes hand in hand with acceptance. When we are patient with someone, we are saying, I accept you, flaws and all. It means you're not trying to mold them into someone they're not, but rather you're giving them the time and space to evolve and be their authentic selves. This doesn't mean you tolerate harmful behaviors or avoid addressing issues, but it does mean that you approach the situation with understanding instead of judgment or impatience. Patience is also a reminder to be kind to ourselves. We often extend patience and grace to others, but how often do we extend that same kindness to ourselves? We are quick to forgive others, yet we hold ourselves to unrealistic standards. Patience with ourselves means recognizing that growth, healing, and self-improvement take time. It's about being compassionate with yourself during tough times and not expecting perfection. Now, here's a key point to consider. Patience does not mean passivity. Being patient does not mean ignoring issues or tolerating disrespect. It's not about waiting for things to change without any effort on your part. Instead, patience means giving space for things to unfold naturally while still actively participating in the relationship. It's about waiting for the right moment to address concerns, allowing time for things to resolve, and trusting that the relationship will grow in its own time. So, what does patience ultimately do for relationships? It creates a deeper bond of understanding and trust. It fosters empathy, allows space for personal growth, and provides the time necessary to nurture a healthy and lasting connection. Without patience, relationships can feel rushed, strained, and disconnected. But with patience, you create an environment where both people feel heard, valued, and accepted for who they truly are. As we close, let's reflect on the key elements that make relationships strong, healthy, and lasting. We've explored the importance of emotional investment, the power of communication, the need for accountability, and the role of patience. Each of these qualities plays a fundamental role in creating meaningful connections with others. But what truly makes a relationship thrive is how we embrace these principles in our daily lives. Emotional investment is not just about showing up. It's about showing up fully, offering your heart, and being vulnerable. Communication is more than just words. It's about creating an open, empathetic dialogue where both people feel heard. Accountability keeps us grounded in our responsibilities, making sure we nurture trust, respect, and growth. And patience allows us to navigate the highs and lows of relationships with grace, understanding that relationships take time to develop, change, and grow. In the end, relationships are not easy. They require consistent effort, care, and a willingness to face challenges together. But if we commit ourselves to emotional depth, to honest communication, to mutual accountability, and to practicing patience, we build something lasting. We create bonds that stand the test of time, bonds that are resilient in the face of adversity. So, I ask you, are you willing to invest in the relationships that matter most? Are you ready to show up with your heart, to listen with empathy, to take responsibility for your actions, and to exercise patience when the road gets tough? If you do, you'll find that the relationships you build will be unbreakable and they'll enrich your life in ways you never thought possible. Thank you.